Good morning, Junior Church. We are going to start this week with a game, and I have enlisted Shauna to help us today. And the game is called What Do You Need? So we're going to do, it's all about different activities and what types of things you might need to do those activities. So the game is that Shauna is going to be given some clues. She's got to guess what the activity is, and then she's got to run to the box through a little mini obstacle course and find 2 items that she needs to do that activity. Are you ready, Shauna?
I am ready.
Right, let's get cracking. Round 1. Okay, Shauna, your first activity that you've got to find 2 items for is something like a craft that you do, and you need water and some other things and paper, and you make lots of nice colours with it.
Right.
What do you think it could be?
A paintbrush?
What's the activity?
Painting!
Yes, go for it. What have you got?
Paintbrush and painting.
Okay. Right, your next activity is something that you do at home in the kitchen, and you'd make really nice yummy things with it.
Cooking, baking.
Baking, well done.
Flour and an egg.
Flour and an egg, well done. Your next activity is it's a game that you play with a round object. It's got a can I say net? It's got a net, but like a little one, and
Basketball.
basketball. Well done. Very good. Well done. A basketball and some trainers. And your last thing is something that you need water to do, an activity. You can go somewhere to do it, like a leisure centre.
Swimming.
Yes, swimming. A swimming cosy and a towel. Very good. Right. Is there anything left in the box?
Yes.
Can you pull out the items that are left in the box?
A pot.
Right, a clay pot, a torch, and a musical instrument. I wonder what they could be for. Let's go back inside to find out. So at the end of our game, we were left with 3 things: a clay pot, a musical instrument, and a torch. And these 3 things reminded me of a story from the Old Testament. Now, I think the torch would have looked a little bit different in Bible times. It would have been a flaming torch, but I'm not allowed that due to health and safety reasons. This story is about a man called Gideon, and God asked Gideon to fight a battle for him. Now, we've just played a game about what you would need to do certain activities. So what do you think you would need to fight a battle? Well, I think maybe one of these would come in handy, and maybe some armour as well to protect yourself. And don't forget the huge army that you would need to fight the battle with you. So let me set the scene. What happened with Gideon? Now, Gideon was an Israelite, and he lived in a time when another group of people called the Midianites were being really, really horrible to the Israelites. They were taking their food, they were killing their sheep and their cattle, and they were generally making life really, really miserable for them. Now, God called Gideon and said that he was going to use him to get the Israelites out of this awful situation. And as the story starts, Gideon is in fact so afraid of the Midianites that he is hiding. And God calls him a mighty warrior. Now, do you think Gideon jumped up and down and thought, amazing, I can't wait to do this? No, he didn't. Did I mention that Gideon was hiding? He didn't feel very mighty at all. And it took him a little while to trust God that he knew what he was doing and that he picked the right guy for the job. Now, we join this story where Gideon was very reluctantly, he'd said yes, he'd do it. But what Gideon thinks he needs to fight the battle and what God knows he needs are two very different things. Have a watch of the story and I'll chat to you again afterwards.
Slapstick Theater, Gideon's 300 Men. This is Gideon, who was a judge of Israel. In the time when Gideon lived, a group of people called the Midianites were taking over the Israelites' land.
Get out of here!
And the Israelites were starving. So the Israelites asked God for help. God chose Gideon to rescue the Israelites.
Hey, everybody!
And gave him the power to lead an army of Israelites.
Yeah!
One day, Gideon and his army got up early and came close to the Midianite camp. God told Gideon that he had too many warriors with him.
Really?
So God told Gideon to let all the men who were scared go home.
All right, you can go home. Phew.
So 22,000 men went home, and Gideon was left with only 10,000. But God told Gideon that he still had too many men with him.
What, really?
He told Gideon to bring the men down to the water and that God would give them a test.
Okay.
Gideon did as God asked, and then God said, "Divide the men in two groups. In one group, put all those who cup water in their hands and lap it up with their tongues like dogs. In the other group, put those who kneel down and drink with their mouths in the stream." Only 300 men drank from their hands. God told Gideon, "With these 300 men, I will rescue you and give you victory over the Midianites. Send all the others home." So Gideon did as God said.
You can go home.
That night, God told Gideon to get up and go down to the camp to listen to what the Midianites were saying.
Hey, Pura, let's go.
Gideon and his servant Purah went down to the camp and saw the huge army. There were too many men and camels for Gideon to even count.
Whoa, that's a lot of camels.
But Gideon heard a soldier telling another man about a dream he had that showed them that God would give Gideon victory over the Midianites. When Gideon heard this, he worshipped God.
Come on.
Then Gideon and his army of 300 men went down to the Midianite camp. They blew their horns and held torches in their hands. They yelled out, and the Midianite soldiers rushed around in a panic and tried to escape. Then God caused the Midianites to start fighting against each other. Because of God's power, Gideon and his army had victory over the Midianites that day.
So, did you see? Gideon thought he needed one thing and God gave him something else. And what a clever plan God had. Gideon starts with 32,000 men. God says too many. It goes down to 22,000. God says too many men. Gideon ends up with 300, some clay jars, some torches and some horns, some musical instruments. What on earth were they going to do with that? But despite it all sounding a little bit like a crazy plan, Gideon trusted God. Imagine the noise in the valley that night as the 300 men surrounded the Midianites and they smashed the clay jars and they blew the horns and they waved the torches. No wonder the Midianites panicked and started fighting each other before they ran away. But did you notice all the way through this story, Gideon was chatting and catching with God. He was listening to what God was saying to him, and that helped him trust God's plan. Do you know, sometimes for me, when I have a problem or I feel confused about something, when I pray, I end up trying to help God with the solution. I suggest to God ways in which that he could sort the problem out. But you know what? This story about Gideon today has reminded me that when I feel confused about something, I can just tell God and trust that he's heard me and that he's got a better plan than I would have to sort it out. I just need to listen to what he says. Jesus said to the disciple, with God, all things are possible. How exciting is that? And we see this all the way through the Bible with people like Gideon and loads of other stories. God doing incredible things that people just didn't expect when they put their trust in him. In Proverbs 3 verse 5, there's a great verse that says, trust the Lord with all your heart and don't depend on your own understanding. Remember the Lord in all that you do and he will give you success. So shall we chat and catch together with God now? So get yourself somewhere comfy, free from distractions, where you can just sit and concentrate on God. You can close your eyes if this helps you. It's entirely up to you. But I just pray that the Holy Spirit be in all of our homes as we pray together now. So let's chat to God. And as we've been looking about situations that we might find a bit confusing, why don't we do that now? So tell God something that you don't understand or that you feel really confused about at the moment. Do you know, you might find it helpful, maybe today, to find yourself a piece of string or ribbon. And as you tell God about the thing that you find really confusing, you could scrunch that piece of string or ribbon up into a little ball. Then give God all of that. Give God the problem. And as you give those things to God, unravel the string and ask God to take away those feelings of confusion. Try that today or this week as you go about your week. So, shall we catch from God? Shall we listen to God, to what he wants to say to us? Now, we saw last week and talked about how God can chat to us in loads of different ways because he made us and our bodies and our minds. So sometimes we can hear God in our mind as a voice. Sometimes we can see a picture, or God will tell us a Bible verse. It could be a dream. It could be a feeling that we have. Last week we talked about those feelings of peace when we feel worried about something. So God can talk to us in lots of different ways, but remember what we know about the character of God, that he's kind, that he cares for us, and that he loves us. So if you hear from God, then just ask yourself, is this the type of thing that I think God would say to me or about me? Are you ready? Get yourself comfy and let's ask God a question together. So today, let's ask God why he likes spending time with you. What a great question. Now, it might have been that you've just heard something straight away, or maybe you could go back and keep asking God that question this week. If you didn't hear from him just now, it doesn't matter. Please don't worry. God can speak to us in so many different ways, and know that he loves you abundantly. He just thinks you are amazing and he can't wait to chat to you. So, Junior Church, have yourself a wonderful week, and I just pray blessing on you and all of your families and your weeks at school ahead. May you have a wonderful time, and we'll see you next week. God bless.